remarkable job, and because of you, Illinois will observe Juneteenth National Freedom Day.
Yeah.
I know that there are so many others who joined you in this effort. Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch, the entire Illinois Legislative Black Caucus, the Illinois General Assembly from both sides of the aisle, the Illinois Juneteenth Committee. Thank you all for your hard work in ensuring that Illinois officially celebrates and honors Juneteenth. And before I begin my formal remarks, I do want to take a moment to welcome Director Christina Schutt. You and your entire team at the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum have been such gracious hosts to us today, and it's only fitting that we are here in the presence of a signed copy of the Emancipation Proclamation celebrating Black freedom and liberation. It seems that there's not a day that goes by that I do not recollect that I am the descendant of enslaved people only 4 generations removed. It seems that there's not a day that goes by that in my work to advance justice, equity, and opportunity for all Illinoisans, that I don't reflect on the fact that those in my bloodline did their work in the fields of Mississippi from sun up to sundown, brutalized, being torn from their children, forbidden from learning to read, spending all day, every day working to build wealth for those who owned them as their personal property. And I think about how they must have prayed for our freedom. There must have been days that they never imagined it for themselves, but they prayed that their children and their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren and those of us standing here today, that we would one day be free. That we wouldn't have to live under those conditions, that we would have autonomy to make decisions, that we would live together with our own families and on our own land and be educated, that we would no longer be viewed as property but as human beings who deserve safety and equality and prosperity and, yes, freedom. That perhaps one day their descendants might make history as Illinois' first Black lieutenant governor, or the first Black Speaker of the House, or the first Black woman to serve as Senate Majority Leader, or the first Black Executive Director of the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library. January 1st, 1863, when the Emancipation Proclamation went into effect, and June 19th, 1865, 2.5 years later, when 2,000 federal troops arrived in Galveston, Texas, to finally proclaim freedom to the enslaved people whose blood, sweat, and tears were still being used to make their owners rich. This was the true Independence Day. This was Juneteenth. Juneteenth is a time of celebration. Juneteenth is a time of telling our stories of hope. Juneteenth is a declaration of faith that despite chattel slavery, we will never stop fighting for freedom. Yes. That despite Black codes right here in Illinois that discourage free Blacks to live in this state, we will never stop fighting for freedom. That despite lynchings and other forms of racialized violence that happened blocks away from where we stand right now, that we would never stop fighting for freedom. That despite race riots here in Springfield in 1908, in East St. Louis in 1917, Chicago in 1919, and Cairo in 1967, where our people were murdered and our businesses and homes destroyed, that we will never stop fighting for freedom. And in the face of mass incarceration and ever-increasing wealth gaps and a pandemic that laid bare the long-time inequities in housing and education and healthcare, that we will never stop fighting for freedom. Neither the Emancipation Proclamation nor the Declaration of Freedom on the first Juneteenth, and not even the 13th Amendment, allowed us as Black people to fully embody the freedom that we all deserve. Rather, we celebrate Juneteenth to acknowledge the deep faith and strength of our ancestors that propelled us to this moment and it is a time to come together in every community of our state to recommit to and work towards the highest ideals of freedom for all. Dr. Maya Angelou said, "The more you know your history, the more liberated you are."
Okay.
Juneteenth National Freedom Day will help ensure every Illinoisan knows our history and that future generations know our history, and that in itself is liberating. Thank you to the bill sponsors. Thank you to the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus for your tremendous leadership. Thank you to the members of the General Assembly, and thank you to all of you who helped advocate for this bill. And thank you, Governor Pritzker, for signing House Bill 3922 into law. It is just one more example that we truly are our ancestors' wildest dreams.
You better say it. Say it.
It is now my honor to introduce one of the champions of the bill, my friend and a tremendous advocate for justice for all, Representative LaShawn Ford.
All right. Come on, son.
Before I start, I wanted to make sure that we brought up one of the people that we do this for. I don't remember his name because I'm at the age now where I forget, like real fast, but I'll write it down. But Sean, you have someone that you brought. He's probably the youngest person here, and we need to bring him up because this is why we do it. He's a black young man.
What? You're like, what?
But just say your name.
Bonner. All right. Hold it. Let me get that.
Today is more than a bill signing moment for me and for all of us. It's a moment for reflection about our ancestors. I think we should take a moment of silence and recall, as the governor talked about, how black people were treated in this country. As that we pause at this moment and reflect just a little bit on how this country treated black people, but today,
How we treat ourselves.
with a bipartisan bill, with white people, black people, and brown people all voting for it. It shows that as much as we think we have a lot of work to do, and we do come together to do things like this to prove that it's possible for us to do a lot more. So I'll pause just for a moment for our ancestors. So nothing I can say today can give justice to what we're about to accomplish today, and that is to sign the bill for Juneteenth. But I'll say, thank you to the governor for standing by your word. It was on June 19th, Governor J.B. Pritzker said, "From the genuine criminal justice reform to a fundamentally reimagined vision of policy to sustain investment in black communities, we will build an Illinois that prioritizes justice, equality, and opportunity for all people." To quote of Governor J.B. Pritzker.
All right, JB. All right.
He would also work to pass a law so that Illinois commemorates Juneteenth as an official holiday in Illinois, and here we are today. Thank you so very much.
All right, thank you.
I should thank my speaker. I'm so proud to have him as the Speaker of the House, because without him, this too would have not had an opportunity to advance. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right.
Stratton because she has that thunder.
Yeah, ain't she good? Ain't she good?
Thank you so much, my senator, Light, for being a leader and a role model and a mentor to me. Thank you.
All right.
Juneteenth is Freedom Day. It's rooted in emancipation for the enslavement, so it involves both celebration and also joy, but also pain. June 19th marks the anniversary of the day in 1865 when the news of the Emancipation Proclamation reached Galveston, Texas, nearly 2 years after the proclamation had been issued. Today is a win for Illinois, and it's a win for our country. It's not a black holiday, it's an American holiday.
That's right.
We all must celebrate.
That's right. Say that.
The world is changing, and people of all ages are talking about Juneteenth. Don't you feel it? I know everyone in this room has been in discussions about Juneteenth, and I know everyone in this room has said and heard people say, I knew nothing about Juneteenth. I knew nothing about Juneteenth until recently. And we don't have to be ashamed of that because it's our school systems that have failed. Not just black people, but also white people, brown people have been miseducated in our school system. That's why the Black Caucus and our colleagues did inclusive history so that that is no longer a problem. And so today in Illinois, we're doing our part, as the governor said, to build on the Black Caucus education pillar that the governor signed to have a more inclusive history in our classrooms. This is a step in the right direction to help tell a more accurate history in America, one step toward a better understanding of the struggle of this nation, and a step closer to respecting our differences and racial harmony.
All right.
And finally, to a more modern day comparison to Juneteenth. And Governor, you've done your part to help remedy it, but I want to say I can never pass up our opportunity to advocate even harder. And so when we think about the cannabis industry, let's think about the cannabis industry.
Say that now.
And so 400 days later, other aspects to leave generational wealth to our families.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Governor, for signing this bill, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you for being so active, Representative LaShawn Ford. We rock with you.
Next is the Majority Leader, Senator Lightford, who I love dearly, and I look forward to continuing to work with her in her endeavors as a senator. Thank you.
All right. The closer you get to it.
To God be the glory.
All right.
All right.
That was an amazing parallel, Rashawn.
There it is. Let's write a bill.
Governor had me in tears. The Lieutenant Governor's thunder strengthened me, and then Rashawn just blew me away. It's been an awesome morning. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning. Good
I
morning.
bring greetings to you on behalf of the 4th Senate District of the state of Illinois. This day is a breakthrough in Illinois history.
Yes, it
I am
is.
so grateful to be a part of it. Juneteenth
Hello.
is a state holiday.
Hello.
In Illinois.
All right.
And this day, I will never forget. This is a blessed day. For I know whom shoulders I stand on.
Okay.
For I know the sacrifices and the pain and the resilience my ancestors endured. And I am thankful to all of them.
All right.
My grandfather's grandmother was an enslaved Indian. Her name was Mama Mamie. and she was bad. She had fun. She was strikingly beautiful. She had strong features, and I truly thank her from the bottom of my soul for being the pillar of our family.
Okay.
I also thank our governor, J.B. Pritzker. He's always been a man of his word. He just received this bill just 5 days ago and made it his priority to sign this important legislation, making a more inclusive Illinois. It reminds us that freedom and racial equality have always been a hard-fought battle for Black Americans, and it gives us an opportunity to celebrate our culture and achievements. I would be remiss if I did not also thank all of the advocates, including the Illinois Juneteenth Committee,